Hi, my name is Chris Doris, and I'm a mental toughness coach. What does that mean? That means I train people to strengthen the way that they're using their minds, so that ultimately they're only using their minds in ways that serve them, or that increase the likelihood of having, being, or doing, or getting what you want. Fundamentally, really, the purpose is to have your life on your terms, which is how I define success. I'm recording this short video with the intention of sharing it with headmasters and principals of schools, most likely in the private sector, where my understanding is that the decision on formulating curriculum is freer than in the public sector. My ultimate intention, of course, is to actually incorporate as fundamental curriculum this training. And again, I'm just going to give you a couple minutes of clarification on what it is that I'm suggesting that we consider incorporating and teaching our children. And it's how to become an emotional master. Really learning how to master your moods or your states. Learning how to control the way that you feel by controlling the way that you think. Becoming an emotional master by becoming a thought warrior. Now, why is this important? And I'm not even going out on a limb when I say this. I've been doing this for probably 30 years in some form or fashion, and I'm always doing. I travel around the world, and I travel around this country and the United States, and I'm constantly asking people in the audiences, like, did you ever have? Who in this room has ever had any formal mental training? Who has been taught specifically how to manipulate your states intentionally in a moment's time? And very few people ever raise their hands. And I ask people, you have kids, do you know if your kids in school are learning any of these things? Like after the talk that I give is over, they'll come up and say, oh, this is great, I need to use this with my kids too, not just with my sales performance or my professional career. I really want to teach my kids this because it'll really not only have them be happier, it'll have them be significantly more successful at everything, because all of human peak performance research points to the same thing, which is that when we are at our best, we feel our best. I'm going to repeat that. When human beings are at their best, they feel their best. We feel our best. I mean, just seriously, ask anybody about any kind of career or lifetime peak performance, and they'll always describe it with similar terms, which is like elevated states. Right? I was peaceful, I was present, I was focused, I was concentrated, I was confident, I wasn't even thinking, it was just happening, it felt like effortless. These are all the descriptors that I'm constantly getting in my interactions as a coach with athletes and executives and business salespeople that I work with and entrepreneurs. So I wish that I had access when I was a kid, in school, in grade school, to this. Learning how to control the way that I'm using my mind. Specifically, learning that I have a brain, but I am not my brain. I have a mind, I am not that mind. My brain creates thoughts, and I am not those thoughts. And, most importantly, I possess the ability to manipulate my thoughts, to choose them, to choose my thoughts, which then instantly creates an emotional state, right? Because every emotional state that I could ever experience is the product of my thinking. I wish I'd learned that, because you know what? Then I wouldn't have been such a victim. Like, we're all victims to varying degrees. We all learn victim thinking, which is that we permit the outer world to govern our inner states, right? So I'm at my best when I feel my best, and when I'm in a low grade state, like anxiety, let's say anxious or angry or frustrated or nervous or incompetent, I'm deactivating all forms of intelligence. I'm making it hard to be good at anything. So not only am I feeling crappy, I'm actually massively paralyzing myself I'm deactivating all forms of intelligence, creative genius included. So it's impossible for me to be a good problem solver, a good student, a good athlete, a good friend, good at anything, right? A good musician, when I'm feeling anxious, or when I'm feeling in what I refer to as the low-grade states. And what we haven't learned is that is totally in our control and can be completely mastered with practice. In fact, we learn just the opposite, and that's the real problem. Let me give you a story to illustrate that. Little girl comes home from school and she's all smiles. And her mom sees her and she says, honey, wow, look at you, you're so happy. What happened? Why are you so happy? And the little girl, she goes, well, did you make a new friend at school today? And she goes, No, Mommy, there weren't any new students at school today. And the mother says, well, so what happened? Why are you so happy? You guys got cupcakes at recess today, didn't you? And the little girl goes, mm-mm. And the mother says, well, what? Why are you so happy? What happened? You got a sticker on your spelling quiz. And the little girl goes, Mommy, we didn't have a spelling quiz today. So embedded within, this is a loving exchange between a sweet little child and her #1 role model in the world, her mother. It's a loving exchange, but embedded within it is disastrous learning. The mother is unintentionally and quite powerfully teaching her daughter to be a victim of circumstance. Embedded within the questions is this: honey, why are you so happy? As if there needs to be a reason, right? Why are you happy? That right there needs to be a reason. Like I can't just choose that. There isn't such a thing as causeless joy. What happened? What happened that's having you be so happy? So what's the thing in the outer world that is making it legitimate? That is justifying you being in a high-grade state of joy right now, honey. What's the thing? Like what gives you permission now? What's the thing that, was it a cupcake? Was it a new friend? Was it a sticker? What was the thing? Right? So the girl is learning unconsciously, even through a loving exchange, that she has to wait. That she can't just create a state, she has to wait. Right? One of my favorite mantras is create the state, don't wait for anything. In fact, create great states, and then you'll get the results that you want. This is what we need to be teaching our kids. Right? That how you think governs your states and your moods. And if you become an emotional master, a thought warrior, which is the same thing, then you're going to be really upgrading the kind of action that you take in life, which is going to maximize the likelihood of getting the results that you want. Victims permit outcomes to govern their state. They reverse the directionality of this equation, which I call this formula, the freedom formula. Because when you get it, you're free. You're free to choose any state. You're free to elevate your state and to crush it, whatever it is, whether it's academics, whether it's athletics, whether it's music, whether it's social life, whether it's just being amazing at living. I am not joking when I say that if we were all taught this, if this was fundamental curriculum, in other words, if we all learned at an early age that we possess the ability to manipulate our states at will in an instant, and then we mastered that ability, we would have no war. And that's not even remotely an exaggeration. We would not have violence. We wouldn't have crime. Because we wouldn't be, all violence comes from existing in a low-grade state for an extended period of time. It is what leads me to make bad decisions. It's what leads me, low-grade states lead me to believe that I need to commit crimes to get what I want. High-grade states would have me feel competent, creative, empowered, able, capable, all the things that lead to me going and creating that which I want. Knowing that I don't need to resort to competitiveness or violence, in order to have what I want be real. So that's not a stretch. Now, at a very minimum, if every one of us, if every student became masterful by the time they reached high school, or even before that, at being able to choose elevated states. Just imagine what that would be like if that was normal. Like, if all of our students were accustomed to being able to manipulate their states. And this stuff I'll explain another time. But like getting above the O-line. In other words, getting above observation or neutral. Like elevating your state, not only from like suffering or from frustration or paralyzing anxiety, but thinking your way into elevated states like enthusiasm, gratitude, right? Curiosity, competence, expertise, compassion, cooperation, all the states that human peak performance research indicate leads to excellence. This is really important. I think this is way overdue, and I'd really love to have a conversation with you about my ideas on the curriculum that I use that would simply need to be adapted into language that's appropriate for young kids in elementary school. I really hope that this engages a dialogue, and I want to have that dialogue with you. And you can reach me at through my website, which is www.christopherdoris.com. Christopher, ChristopherDorris.com, and of course I'll put that into the message that I send out with this. Thanks. Look forward to talking to you.